Into River Sports, the show, also part of the Shank and Spence show. It is Thursday night, and we are just a couple of weeks after the NFL draft, and we welcome in our New York Giants reporter and good friend Copizzle to the show. Copizzle, how is your night going?
What's up, man? I don't know about a reporter, but that did sound good.
You are a reporter. You report on Big Blue and have been for 8 years. He has one of the more successful channels on the internet covering Giants football. And Copizzle, the Giants take Evan Engram from Ole Miss. You happen to live in a southern state. You probably watched SEC football. What do you think about the tight end from Ole Miss, Evan Engram?
I absolutely love Evan Engram on the Giants. I really do. To be honest with you, I love any time the Giants can draft anybody from the SEC. I get excited, and that goes even to our second round pick. But one of the things I'm really excited about the Engram pick is I feel like, in my opinion, the Giants got the guy that they wanted. It's definitely the guy, in my opinion, that they wanted because other players had fallen far enough for the Giants to make a move, and they never made that move, which indicated to and even had some guys that they could have picked with the 23 spot, and they still chose Engram instead. So the biggest thing that I wanted the Giants to do was just make sure they get the guy that they wanted, and it seems like that's who they got, and I think they got. It's been some time since I've been really excited about a Giants tight end, and I'm really excited about the one that we got now. I really am.
I'm certainly excited about Evan as well because now this is kind of a guy that is so athletic in the passing game. He can create so many matchup nightmares, and for Eli Manning, it's certainly going to be another weapon. My only concern maybe with Evan Engram, or my hope, is that Evan Engram can block, kind of like Jeremy Shockey used to block, like Jake Ballard and Bear Pasco used to block. Guys that the Giants, had at tight end. It's kind of been a revolving door like you were alluding to, and I just hope Evan Engram can be a blocking tight end.
Yeah, I think with the Rhett Ellison pickup, the tight end we got from Minnesota, I think he'll play more. He could play. I know he's going to play more of that H-back role, but I could see him being an effective blocker. We can't forget about the other tight ends we have on the roster. But a lot of people think that Engram could be a slot receiver. He looks like a slot receiver, but I think I've got confidence in him. I really do.
What do you think about the offensive line not being addressed till the fifth round? And then the Giants also got Wayne Gallman, who's a national champion from Clemson. Do you think that Paul Perkins and this running attack, do you think it's going to be up to par for the Giants to win a lot of games? Because the Giants are still trotting out guys like Newhouse and John Jerry at guard and tackle. And really that's really my only concern with this draft and this roster is, can the Giants be okay running the football a little bit?
Well, here's the thing. I think from an offensive line standpoint in the draft, I don't think this was a poor draft for offensive linemen. Right. There really wasn't anybody. I don't think they could have improved us right away. Here's the deal. A lot of Giants fans are concerned about Eric Flowers. I think we all are all concerned about it. But he's young. You got to remember he's still in his early 20s. He's got to get better. We have to get better in-house. They signed, obviously, the fluker pick, or the free agent pick. I think the Giants are going to somewhat piece this offensive line together, figure out the right rotation. I'd actually, to be honest with you, I've got confidence that the offensive line could be pretty good this season. I mean, it's obviously probably going to be our weakest point on the offense. But if they can just play how much better do they really need to play next season? I mean, I wouldn't say that they were one of the worst in the league, but if they can just pick up their game a little bit, we really have a special offense. I mean, this offense, and I'll get to Paul Perkins in a second, this offense has a chance, in my opinion, to be the best offense the Giants has ever had in the history of their team. Okay? And I think that's saying a lot. But if the offensive line could just play pretty good, they don't have to play great. If they just play good, I mean, I think you could see a lot of special things. What was the question on Perkins again?
Well, you kind of took, you actually kind of gave me another question, and that's, Eli Manning and this offense. Because Eli really is the key for this offense. Because you look at the Giants' offense on paper, and like you're saying, it's ridiculously talented. You have
really, yes.
You have Sterling Shepard, who a lot of people even forget. And then you have Brandon Marshall, who could be like a Plexico Burress type in the red zone to catch touchdowns. Evan Engram, who's so talented and fast already. He's going to make an immediate impact. But I did see Eli Manning against the Eagles, and you were actually at that game where Ben McAdoo decided to throw the ball 62 times. Then the Giants went to Washington. Their defense won them that game. And then in the playoffs, Copizzle, a lot of people want to, blame the defense for losing the Green Bay game. The defense was incredible the whole half, and they were on the field the entire half because the Giants couldn't run the ball. So do you think Eli Manning can carry this offense? Do you really think Eli is going to have an unbelievable year?
Let me say this about Eli. I feel like Eli, the Philly game at Philly, you mentioned that I was there. I absolutely had a blast. The environment was great. That was the one game last season I felt like was on Eli's fault. I blame Eli for that loss. And I don't usually blame Eli for a lot of losses, but that one was on him. He put us in a hole really early in that game, and one that we could not crawl out of. But when you look at the Green Bay game, the playoff game, like you mentioned,
yes,
playoff Eli showed up, in my opinion. I thought that Eli was playing really well that game. The unfortunate part was the other players on the offense, I don't think, played that well that day. The defense, you can make out whatever you want to. The fact is, they were absolutely gassed by the time that game was over. I mean, I think about midway through the third quarter, maybe late in the third quarter, they were gassed. They had nothing left in the tank. Did they? You speak of also the Washington game. Again, I just don't think that I think those last 2 weeks of the season were not good weeks for the offense. In my opinion, but. I don't think all of the problems that fall on that offense are Eli's fault. I really don't. I don't think it is. I think it comes down to the fact of the offensive line has to be healthy. All of the weapons we have all these weapons now, but they have to be healthy. If they're not healthy, then it doesn't no good. We finally incorporated Paul Perkins into the running game late in the season last year, whereas early in the year, we were trying to make Rashad Jennings work. It was not working. Paul Perkins, who was a rookie, figuring things out, was slowly coming to what I thought was a really good form. And now with an off season under his belt, I really think our running game is going to improve next season as well. So, I just think what the Giants were able, would you say that the Giants overachieved or underachieved last year?
I would say that their offense, when you look at the talent of the roster, Odell Beckham, you have a coach in Ben McAdoo who's supposed to be an offensive guru. You have Odell, you have Sterling Shepard. You did have Victor, but Victor was getting older. I think the offense...
Victor was done.
I'd say the offense definitely underachieved. I mean, let's look back at the games. You were also
but let me make this argument. In a lot of sense, I think they overachieved.
The offense.
Here's why.
Okay.
Here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't even sniff the playoffs the last few years under Coughlin, right?
Right.
Now, you can make the argument that was Coughlin's fault. It wasn't. Whatever. I don't know if it was or if it wasn't. Okay, but the bottom line is you can make that argument. McAdoo, first-year coach, comes in, and what were we able to do? We were able to go to the playoffs. I mean, that's a big deal, just making it to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just making it is a big deal.
It is.
Especially in the NFC East, which had the number one seed, quote-unquote, last year with the Dallas Cowboys. Right. You know, we're not talking about the AFC's number one seed with the Patriots, who have nobodies in their division. You know what I'm saying? But we play in a much tougher conference. Or not conference, I'm sorry, but a much tougher division. And so, in my opinion, I think a lot of ways you could say that they underachieved because they had these great players. But in my opinion, in a lot of times, I think they overachieved.
Well, I was just talking about
they weren't even considered a playoff team at the start of the year last year.
And
nobody said they were a playoff team.
Well, you're correct. I was going to. I didn't finish my answer, but the defense completely overachieved. You know, we're both Giants fans, so I like getting into this debate actually with you. The defense was incredible last year. They completely overachieved.
The defense was a championship defense.
That's why I'm saying that the offense underachieved, because Jack Rabbit Jenkins, he was an incredible selection by Jerry Reese. I mean, you saw the New Orleans game the year before when the Giants went down to New Orleans and Drew Brees put up 52 points. That was maybe the lowest moment in a long time as a Giants fan for me, because that defense just got shredded. It made me want to throw up. That game was like a roller coaster ride. And the defense, man, was absolutely incredible. Landon Collins, Olivier Vernon, all the selections, you know, Jason Pierre-Paul coming back, you know, Casillas starting at linebacker, Eli Apple, you know, Crow Marty. But Copizzle, the defense was phenomenal, but the reason that I would say that the team a little bit, I would say that the offense really underachieved, though, because let's go back here. I'm going to quickly go through these games, okay? You were at the Cowboys game. The offense was pretty much, you know, non-existent in that game.
It finished 10-7.
Right, it was a 10-7 game, and they had one play with Odell Beckham. Then you look at the Bears game, Copizzle. Their offense was pretty bad the entire game. The Lions game, same thing. In the Cincinnati and the Eagles game, the offense did just enough to win. The only offensive game that I loved from the Giants was the Baltimore Ravens game. Other than that, even when they went to London, the offense was just putrid. So, I mean, I just really want Paul Perkins to run the football. If Paul Perkins can run the ball and they have a balance, because what I was going to say, Copizzle, is I don't know if Eli Manning can throw it 40 times and have success like some quarterbacks in this league.
Oh, well, okay. Well, let's ask this question. So why do you? So it sounds like to me that you're putting the blame on the offense on Eli.
I'm putting the blame on the scheme of McAdoo, because McAdoo in the Eagles game, he called 60 passes for Eli. I only want Eli to throw it 30 times a game. I still think Eli's a very talented player. I just think Eli Manning's a little bit older now. I want the run-pass option to be maybe 60-40. And then you also look at the Giants' schedule. The Giants' schedule, when they really won games, they beat the Rams, the LA Rams, not that great team. They beat the Bengals, the Bears, and the Lions at home. The Giants had a large homestand, and that's where they were able to get hot. They also beat the Browns. The offense is the only thing holding this team back from winning a Super Bowl. The defense was there actually to win the conference, to win the NFC and compete in the Super Bowl. I'd say the blame of the offense is the offensive line, Copizzle. I think that Justin Pugh is not blocking well enough. I think the run game is completely the blame. We talk about why the defense was gassed. Why do you think the defense was gassed, Copizzle? It's because of running the football. I think
they they needed to run. They need to run the football more.
Yeah.
And one of the hopes that I have is that this offseason, McAdoo is producing, is trying to produce better running plays, or at least a more run-happy offense instead of so many throws. There was some plays that they ran. They ran a screen play about 6-7 different times last year, where I knew the play was coming. I mean, I've heard from people that, or experts, if you will, that the so-called Giants offense really isn't that hard to figure out. It's pretty basic stuff, from what I've heard. So I don't think McAdoo is this guru that people think he is. I think he is he's a kind of coach that puts out a simple kind of offense and wants you to execute it perfectly.
Right.
And I agree with you on the offensive line, but I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. I think Justin Pugh is a good player for us. And the reason I say that is because there was a moment last year when he was injured and he was out. And that offensive line was not the same without Justin Pugh in the offensive. When he came back, they improved. Now, were they good? No. I mean, Eric Flowers, the left tackle, in my opinion, is the main concern. He had too many holding calls last year. He gave up too many big plays to the defense. I mean, he is the problem that if they could fix, if he could just improve, that is where I think our offense could grow. Look, there's no question. You're right in that if the offense is holding them back. There's no question about it. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, you got to remember the Giants spent $200 million on the defense.
Right.
So, it better be good. What I mean?
But Copizzle, it is amazing what their defense did. They were the worst defense in the history of the NFL. And Spagnuolo, man, God bless that guy. The defense was awesome. They shut down the Dallas Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, how much fun was it leaving Giant Stadium and talking to Cowboys fans? And I was saying this, Copizzle, and you'll laugh. Oh, Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, Des Bryant. They're going to slam us. Ooh, this offense. Where is it? Their defense was amazing considering how bad they were a year before. And spending money, $200 million, everybody thought Jerry was overpaying, all the national experts. It still was awesome, man. I'll tell
you what bummed me last year. This is what really bummed me. It wasn't the fact that we beat the Cowboys for the second time. Because even when we beat them the second time, late in that December game, I still, as a fan, trying to be realistic, I said, I still don't know if we're a championship team yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know if we were a Super Bowl caliber team. It wasn't until, the Redskins last year had a really good offense.
Yeah.
And when I saw the Giants play them week 17, and I saw how defensively dominating they were that game, I said, this is we're about to go on a run. A run is about to happen. And the Packer game was so disappointing and such a letdown that it tore. I mean, I was really upset about it because I was expecting us to go on that run that we have before. But here's the thing. I look at last year as a positive. I really don't look at last year as a negative. Because once again, it was just happy. I was happy once again that the Giants were a playoff team. This time around, this season, I think we're expected to make the playoffs. I think we got better in the offseason. Granted, people will look at the offensive line and question if we've gotten better there. I would argue that we're probably the same. But in other positions, look, I don't think Victor Cruz last year was a viable option. I really don't. I don't think he was a really good receiving option. Brandon Marshall, in my opinion, will be a better receiver than Victor Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
We'll have a better tight end now in Engram. If Engram is half of what people think he can be, we will have a better tight end than we did last year. So we have two new weapons. Paul Perkins now will be the featured back. I mean, so in my opinion, we've got three brand new pieces because Paul Perkins didn't even get. Remember, he wasn't even really playing early in the year last year. They were playing Rashad and then Vereen, and now you're going to have a full-on Paul Perkins, and I think that's going to be. I think you're going to see a better offense next year. I really do.
Yeah, and I mean the Green Bay game, like Copizzle, like I was watching closely the San Francisco-Seattle game because I was saying to people around here that I wanted to play the Green Bay Packers. I wanted Green Bay. I didn't want the Giants to go to Seattle. No,
I did. That's the same thing that I wanted. Yes.
Because Eli wins at Lambeau, so I really was so jacked. Because going to Seattle, that place just scares me to death. Like I don't know if
but
you remember the
I know you would be. You have every right as a Giants fan to be disappointed by losing to Green Bay. Every right. And guess what? The likelihood is we're going to lose the season
though. And I kind of love that Odell Beckham, like, he's going to learn from that loss. That's something that...
I hope he does. I hope he does. I mean, this year's a really big year for him. This year's a big year for Eli Manning as well. But it's really a big year for Odell Beckham. It really is. I mean, it is time for him... I'm hoping that he grew up. He's growing up a little bit this offseason. I hope he learned from his mistake, the Green Bay week, and I hope he grows from it. And I look at last season as a positive. I really do. I look at it as a building block to build into this season and even the season after this one. I'm just happy that we're a playoff team again. And now we're not satisfied with just making it a playoff. Now it's time to take that next step and go get the Super Bowl again.
Well, getting into the dance was absolutely, it really was tremendous to get that.
So good again.
Of making those playoffs, getting into the dance. I mean, I was so happy when what was it, the Saints beat the Bucs to get in, because I really thought that, I thought it was destiny for some reason last year for us to win the Super Bowl. I think us losing to the Eagles, it showed really our weakness.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say though, the reason I still have pause, and it's just like, for me, it's just like a broken record, is I just think that Eli Manning, when he won his 2 Super Bowls, the run-pass ratio was like 50-50 with Bradshaw, with Brandon Jacobs. Mm-hmm. They were kind of a run-first team. And then in 2007, you had possession receivers like Amani Toomer and Eli Manning, the playbook. He would only have to throw the ball like 24, 25 times. He wouldn't turn it over. He would really be crisp. But now with all these receivers, there's going to be all this pressure on Eli to put up these monster numbers like a Drew Brees, like an Aaron Rodgers, and I just don't know. And it's not a knock on Eli. There's Hall of Famers like Troy Aikman and Bradshaw that don't throw the ball 40 times a game and are still fantastic. I just don't know if that's Eli's. I just don't know if that's Eli's nature. You know what I'm saying?
Well, historically, the Giants were built on 2 things: running the football and playing good defense. Right? I mean, that's what Bill Parcells believed in. It's what Coughlin brought that mentality back. He really did. When he showed up, we had the Brandon Jacobs thing. We had Ahmad Bradshaw. Obviously, right there before then, there was the Tiki Barber. We've had good running backs over the years, and for whatever reason, if you remember, we drafted David Wilson in the first round several years ago, mm-hmm. and he ended up not panning out, had the neck injury. So we missed on that draft. We have missed, in my opinion, on several free agents. I just don't think we've had a quality running back since Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw days. In my opinion, we just haven't had that quality running back.
And the line also, you had McKenzie, Sean O'Hara.
You're exactly right. We've had a really quality offensive lineman. Chris Snee. Yes. I mean, we had, if you remember Chris Snee. I think now, Paul Perkins really got me excited last year a couple times. with some of the runs that he was able to make. I'm really looking forward to watching him this season and growing. You mentioned the Gallman pick from Clemson.
Yes.
I don't know what to make of him just yet. I have to see him. But I'm hoping. Look, if I had my way, I'd want to see Paul Perkins get at least 20 to 25 touches a game. If I had it my way.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and Andre Williams just represented failure. So I'm just kind of glad he's gone. You know what I mean? There was just nothing exciting about Andre Williams, man.
No, there was nothing.
Sure, he's a good guy, but he just, oh, my gosh. Him and Rashad Jennings, too. Mediocrity. So I'm exactly like you. I'm glad we finally have our guy. It's not like this revolving door of Darkwa and Williams.
Yes.
And yes.
It feels, well, I mean, when's the last time we really had our guy? You know, that's the thing. And I feel like Perkins is finally somebody who is somebody we know for sure is a week one running back, and he's going to get several touches a game. And I like the way he runs, too. And plus, he's young. I like having a young running back. You know, not somebody that's 30, 31. You know, look, I'm 31, but I mean, it's that's old running back years. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's good to have somebody young, and I think he's going to be refreshing for us at the running back position.
Copizzle, unbelievable stuff, man. It's awesome talking Giants football and just about, last year springboarding into this year. We look to talk to you soon, man, as we get towards July and August in training camp and everything. So thanks for stopping by our show, man. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And if you want to see any of my content, just come over to YouTube, search in Copizzle, Copizzle, and enjoy the Giants content over the year.
Of course. Alrighty, man.